Hello everybody, Hawk here. I want to talk about a plugin that has quite literally changed how I work, changed my workflow. And I don't say that lightly because obviously there's so much software out there nowadays, so many plugins, and most of them are pretty awesome. But this has really changed my workflow for the better. What I'm talking about is iZotope's Tonal Balance Control. It's a meter. It's a metering plugin to check your mix's frequency content. And while that in itself doesn't sound very impressive, here's why it's so cool. It's super easy to get your levels right, to check your LUFS over time, and use a meter like Insight to check that. And after you've mastered, to make sure that your levels are just right. But having your levels right, making sure that your true peak is hitting where it's supposed to be, making sure that you're at, let's say, minus 14 dB LUFS for streaming or whatever you're going for, minus 11, minus 9 for CD, minus 0.2, 0.3 true peak for CDs, whatever you're going for. It's one thing to get those levels right, but it's another thing entirely to know whether, hey, your bass is up too loud, your bass frequencies around 250 hertz are too muddy, your hi-hats are up too loud, there's too much shrill high frequency range in the 2 to 4K range. Maybe you're not catching that on your speakers. Maybe you're not catching that in your spectrum analysis meters. Maybe the friends that are listening to your music aren't catching that either, because it's possible, who knows what they're listening to when you give them an MP3 or something to check your mix. But with Tonal Balance Control, you can literally check your mix against a frequency range that is a map of what is ideal for the style of music that you're working in, whether it's rock music or EDM or bass heavy, dubstep music. And that is just, I don't know, I can't even tell you how critical that is. I'll probably put some mix out at some point in time, and I did a lot in the past that, the frequencies weren't quite where they needed to be. Something was too loud or too quiet in terms of the frequency range. I'm just not going to be doing that again because I have Tonal Balance Control on my side. And so Tonal Balance Control was introduced with Ozone 8 as part of the Ozone 8 full package, the Ozone 8 advanced package. Tonal Balance Control came with that. And it's also now also included in Ozone 9, and it's been improved in Ozone 9. So let's take a look at Tonal Balance Control, and let me show you what it does. I've got it set up in Pro Tools 10, an older version of Pro Tools. So we're looking at Tonal Balance 8, version 8 to start with, and then I'll also show you a version 9 and some of the updates that are there. It looks pretty much the same, but I'll get into that in just a minute. So let's check this out. So when you're taking a look at Tonal Balance Control, make sure that you're playing the loudest part of your song. And this part of the song has all of the elements of your arrangement in. It doesn't much matter when you're playing a part of the song that doesn't have all the elements in. I'll play this for you. So this part of the song doesn't have all the elements in. And you can see that the frequencies aren't all there. It's not looking like a perfect frequency curve. And that's kind of obvious because not all the parts are in. If the bass part isn't in, it's going to be light on the bass part. It's not going to have those bass elements there. So let's play this. So as you can see, we're missing the high mids, and it even gets grayed out when it drops down there that far. So, but again, what you should be listening to here is, let's go to a part of the song that has everything in it, and we can take a look at this. And so I've mastered the song using Ozone, and then I check it with Insight to check my true peak values and my LUFS, and then tonal balance control to check the overall frequency content. And as you can see from that, I'm like sitting right where I need to be. All of those elements, all those frequency ranges are perfect in terms of this being sort of bass heavy music. And this is basically, that's synthwave. So synthwave has its roots in 80s and EDM, and it's bass heavy music with lots of synths in it, and it's right where it needs to be. It looks great. So in Ozone 8, there aren't a lot of preset curves to choose. You can always load in your own preset curves. So let's say there's a synthwave piece that I really like the mix on. I can load that in, and I can create a curve based on my reference material to match my final master up to. But this one doesn't have a lot of presets. Ozone 9, with its tonal balance control in version 9, has more presets. So let's take a look at 9. So here's 9 running in Ableton Live, and we can resize the window now, which is really great. Make it much easier to see. And then we've got a bunch of very specific genre curves here. So we've got EDM there, and we've got rock here. So whatever style you're working in, there's orchestral. That's cool. I hadn't looked at that one. That one's got a lot of low mids and not as bass heavy, but a wider range in the bass than, say, the EDM, which has much more narrow frequency ranges, but pretty pushed up there in terms of the low frequencies and the low mids. So yeah, so that's tonal balance control, and like I said, it's quite literally changed how I work, because now I don't have to be stressing about whether I have got my mix and my final master sitting in the proper frequency range for release. Because, you know, once you as a label owner, and once I hit the distribute through my aggregator to send this music out to the world, it's out there in the world. Trying to pull it back is just crazy insane. It can be done, but that's the last thing you want to do. You don't want to be pulling masters back after they've been distributed. So you got to make sure that it's right for that one time. You get one shot at sending that out there. And, you know, as many people as I have for peer review to listen to the music before it goes out, this gives me a whole new level of certainty that I have nailed my mix and my master. And since I can put this right in my mix session now, I can literally be adjusting elements in my mix to make sure that I'm sitting in the frequency ranges that I need to sit in for the style of music that I'm mixing. So yeah, tonal balance control totally changed my life. I highly recommend Ozone 9, which has just been released. I should say before I close out here, I used to master my stuff with the Waves mastering bundles. And then I started getting into Ozone around iZotope's Ozone around version 6. I skipped version 7. I found out about the artificial intelligence mastering algorithms in 8, gave it a try, was very impressed, and then have gone on to update just recently now to version 9. And it's great. The new improvements in 9 are pretty killer. I should note that version 9 is no longer 32-bit, so it won't work on Pro Tools 10. It'll work on everything going forward. Pro Tools 11, it works on Ableton 9, which is 64-bit. So it's got to be a 64-bit program for it to work in. The 32-bit plugin version of Ozone stopped with Ozone 8. So just so you know, Ozone 8, you've got to be on Ozone 8 if you're using a 32-bit DAW. If you're using a 64-bit DAW with the newer operating systems, you're good with Ozone 9. And, you know, Ozone 9 has got more bells and whistles. So, yeah, that's it. Tonal balance control. Check it out. Give it a try yourself. And let me know what you think. As usual, if you like this video, if you like what I'm doing here, please subscribe. I really appreciate seeing the subscriptions, and I will get back to you if you post some comments below. And pick up a Music Producer t-shirt and help support what I'm doing here. And thank you very much. I'll see you guys soon. Ciao.